like to begin by just presenting to you the Qasab practice. We're not going to take a lot of time with it, but I thought I would present some of the practices that I'm going to be giving when you get the homework assignment in the afternoon and not in the evening. Especially these two new practices that we're going to do. The main thing about the Qasab practice is it's a very simple form of pranayama that was given by Hazrat Inayat Khan as part of the Sufi lineage of practices. It's intended to give one some mastery around the sense of Jalal and Jamal and Kamal, and particularly, I think, though, to experience the capacity of the breath to become bigger, broader, have more breadth to it, and power and strength in it. You know, because sometimes we have everything going for us except our breath the force in our breath is weak. And it's kind of like an arrow. It's aimed properly, but it doesn't have enough strength to reach the target. So this is increasing that kind of strength capacity, and also to understand about there's some explanation of it in Hazrat Inayat Khan's terms in the papers that I gave for people to study over the course of the next month. Many of you, this is a very familiar practice, but we're doing it now in conjunction with this whole course. So I think it's definitely worth giving a few minutes a day to, because it will make a difference in the breathing. So here's the practice. We began with the phrase we're going to use in the practice is Allah Shafi, Allah Kafi. That works very nicely in that kind of a rhythm. Allah Shafi, Allah Kafi. This practice may strain your capacity a little bit. It's intended to stretch your capacity a little bit. So taking that rhythm on both the inhalation and the exhalation, there's no pause in the breath after you've exhaled, but after you've inhaled, you will hold the breath, you will retain the breath. Allah Shafi, Allah Kafi, Allah Shafi, Allah Kafi. Exactly twice as long as what you did when you breathed in or breathed out. Now, that won't be too difficult today because we've been working with the breath. But if you do find it that you can always speed up Allah Shafi, Allah Kafi. I'm not being facetious. I'm being serious, But stretch your capacity a little bit. Don't be afraid to stretch your capacity. But don't do it to the extent that you are doing some... this retention is not too long. So basically, you exhale right, Allah Shafi, Allah Kafi. You inhale left, Allah Shafi, Allah Kafi. You retain the breath, as I said, twice as long. And then you exhale left, the same. Inhale right, the same. And hold the breath again, twice as long. Now that's one cycle of breath. Because now you're going to breathe. Every time you breathe out through the right nostril, you can count. And we're going to do just 5 cycles. So after the 5th cycle, stop and become very much aware of your breath in both nostrils, and see if you can see whether your breath is balanced or what your condition of breath is. Is it more alive, more what? So, any questions about this? We're just going to do this right now.
Could you
Yeah.
just repeat the instructions another time, one more time? So.
Yeah, sure. Okay. Beginning, exhale right, Allah Shafi, Allah Kafi. Then inhale left, the same, Allah Shafi, Allah Kafi. Retain the breath, Allah Shafi, Allah Kafi, Allah Shafi, Allah Kafi. And then exhale left, Allah Shafi, Allah Kafi. Again, if that's too much of a strain, you know, repeat the wazifa a little faster and establish a, but you want the breath to be in balance that way, that it's like you know, the retention is equal to the inhalation and exhalation. Yeah.
And then do you do 5 rounds with both nostrils?
No, then you just breathe afterwards. You just breathe afterwards, and you breathe through both nostrils, and you become aware of your breath. So let's begin. What did you notice in your breath after you did the practice? Anything in particular? Yeah.
My state of breath and was breathing refined through both nostrils, and no thoughts, just kind of space.
Refined breath through both nostrils, no thought, spacious. What other?
Standing in the chest, the heart felt like, just felt clear, clean, and like a poo, I could feel poo.
Anyone notice when they started breathing through both nostrils that one nostril was more than the other?
Jamal, right,
Yeah.
Jamal.
Yeah. It's very rare that they're truly balanced.
Not balanced.
They can be, and that's a state which is very meditative. Quite meditative, when they are. Anyway, it's a practice that is recommended for breath development, and it's simple enough to do every day and to notice its effect. Any other comments or questions about it? Okay, yeah.
So as I was going along my right nostril got more and more congested instead of opening. So
When you were doing the Qasab or afterwards?
back and forth when I was doing the practice. By the time I was like around the fourth breath, I guess, series, I started to almost feel a panic when I would be breathing in the right side because I couldn't get enough breath on the beats to really feel like there was breath in my body. So I had kind of like a panic over how am I going to get enough breath in the 8 counts if I can't get through it. So
Yeah, well, so then that's, that's telling you something about yourself that you need to look at. I mean, in the sense of, okay, are my channels of breath clear? I mean, it could be an allergic thing. It could be a psychological thing. It could be a physical thing. People have blocked septums and whatever. It could be just where your breath is at this moment. You don't want to go into panic mode. Stop if you start to panic, and just release and come back to just a simple fikr and noticing. But I find for myself sometimes, just doing a bit of the kind of washing in the nostrils is very helpful. I don't say pick your nose, but the smallest obstructions that you remove from there when you're washing has a tremendous influence on what the channel of breath in the right or the left nostril is going to be cleared or not. And sometimes it's as simple as that. And for me, when I notice something really off, like you described, I generally go and kind of check out, if I have some obstruction that I can clear. And sometimes it's just the smallest thing, and all of a sudden you're getting a nice flow of breath. But definitely don't force it if it takes you into that kind of a state, and just kind of go back and look at it and say, okay, is this a chronic condition? In other words, is this the way your physical mechanism is always operating or not? Just look at it, objectively and see, okay, look at, and if it's just, a response, it could be, like a response to the practice where one is resisting the jalal, for example. I'm not saying that's the case, I'm just saying that it could be something like that. But it's worth going into, and definitely don't force it if one of the nostrils is blocked or almost blocked. Anybody with anything else on this practice?
I don't think I was doing this right. It's Allah Shafi. inhale through the right. And then Allah Kafi, exhale through the right.
No.
I held it, no.
No. It's, you say both of them. You know, it doesn't really matter where you start. We're starting with the right, exhaling the right, but it doesn't matter. Really, you see, you're going to breathe in the left and breathe out the left and breathe in the right and breathe out the right. If it's easier for you to start with an in breath, if you inhale the right, you exhale the right, you inhale the left, you exhale the left. It comes to the same thing. It's alternate nostril breathing. But the timing of it is Allah Shafi, Allah Kafi. That's an inhalation. And then the same, both, it's an extended time for people. For most people, it's a little longer than they're used to doing.
So we weren't holding our breath at the end of the...
Not after the exhalation,
Okay.
but after the inhalation, you hold it exactly twice that long.
Okay.
I realize I asked you a question. Do you hold it on every in-breath or just on one of the two?
On both in-breaths. On whether you're inhaling left or inhaling right, you do retain the breath, but you don't retain it, you don't hold the breath after you've exhaled. You immediately inhale.
And then when do you do both nostrils?
Well, at the end.
After 5 breaths.
After 5 breaths, you just sit there for a minute or so and breathe through both nostrils and just notice the condition of your breath and, you know, go with it.
What I've been noticing is sort of like doing exercises on my chest where I'm doing more, because I tend to breathe kind of
Shallow?
and refined. And so I'm really practicing more now, taking long and deep, and it feels like I'm getting physical exercise in my chest. And the more I do it, it's like stretching, the more I want to stretch. So it feels good to breathe.
And this practice in general is an antidote to just the kind of breath that you described, perhaps refined but shallow. But because this practice will help you deepen your breath and make it more powerful in that way.
It's probably good for people with high blood pressure too to do more deep breathing.
There's another incentive. Yeah.
What she just said, when we went to the Bazaar of India in Berkeley, the lady behind the counter said, as we were buying the herbal blood pressure medication, she said, breathe in one nostril, breathe out the other. Basically the same Qasab.
Yeah, well, it's an ancient Indian practice. That's no surprise. And it's a practice that's done in a lot of different schools. And, because this is where the Sufis and the yogis met, was in the realm of practice. It wasn't in the realm of theology. It was in the realm of practice. They were doing the same practices. They had, the practice were close enough and says, oh yeah, I can learn something from the practice you're doing. And that's what they were doing. That's what happened in India with the relationship between Sufism and yoga practice. Yeah.
Is there a fitness quality, like is I don't know if the lungs are a muscle or muscles around the lungs, that you diaphragm becomes stronger when you do these, so that you're more able to do them?
I think so, yeah. I think so. I'm not an expert, but that's my experience.
Okay. That's kind of a feel like it's just doing sit-ups or something.
Especially the lower.
What's that?
Stretching the tissues more than anything else to
Yeah.
allow for a fuller breath.
Yeah. Well, there's a doctor speaking, see.
Oh, good.
Now you can be, now you can.
I feel awesome.
Yeah,
You were guessing,
yeah, okay.